Yo, welcome guys to Apex Legends Season 5. That's your boy Fat Dumpling coming in with another video on Season 5. So I'm going to start off by talking about all my initial thoughts, some of the changes that have come with Season 5 and everything in between, mostly my thoughts as you can see. So let's get into it. I'm not going to start off with the map changes. Listen, I don't know what they did to the map, but it seems like the map is a lot more prettier now. I don't know what they did to it, but I think it's that orange, reddish, pinkish hue that they added to it. It just makes it seem like it's twilight, make it seem like it's daybreak, sunbreak. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know how many suns they have on this planet, how many moons they have, but it just seems a lot nicer. That hue kind of makes things seem a lot brighter, a lot more, I don't know, it just seems a lot more attractive to me. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm confused, maybe it's the quarantine getting to my head, but it seems a lot nicer, a lot brighter, a lot more clear, if that makes sense. So that is the visual side of things, and of course we have our bigger map changes. So we have said goodbye to Skull Town, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you are and if you like Skull Town. For me, I don't really miss it that much. I don't think I'm going to miss it that much, just because I felt like there were different floors, and that kind of jarred me when someone was just camping up and just sniping. And again, of course, you could do that, I could do that to someone else, so it is kind of fair. But I think Salvage has more of a horizontal sort of playing field, whereas everyone's at the same level, and you can't exactly snipe from up high unless, of course, you're Pathfinder or Lobo, which we'll get into later. But I welcome this change. I like this change, and I think that, you know, everyone saw this kind of happening. Skull Town was a hot drop for Kings Canyon for a long time, and I think that change is pretty good, and it's received well on my end, and people that I've spoken to have also kind of liked it. A couple people said that they didn't like it and they preferred Skull Town, but with change, you know, it comes adjustment, and adjustment needs time, so you better get used to it. You've also got the capacitor. Now that's a new change and something new that's coming to Apex Season 5, and of course it's pretty cool. I found that there's a lot more loot. I don't know what it is, the increased amount of loot that there is, but I've just found that there's a lot more stuff to pick up, essentially. And it might be because I've been playing as Lobo quite recently, it might be because I've just been finding more guns, I might just be more lucky, but yeah, I'm finding a lot more loot, which is pretty good. So with capacitor, I think the fact that it gives you a new ability, or it gives the map the whole ability to charge your ultimate, is pretty cool. One of the reasons why I love Apex Legends so much is the fact that it has so many different layers to it. Like, even with the characters itself, with their abilities, it adds different layers. Thinking how you're going to be Wraith, for example, knowing how to outplay a Octane or a Gibraltar, like hitting him behind a shield, it adds a different sort of layer to gameplay of a first-person shooter, which in theory is just people shooting at each other. But the fact that you can charge your ultimate, or your team's ultimate, or your enemy's ultimate, is pretty cool, and it adds a whole different layer to your Apex, as it is at the moment, which is pretty cool. And of course, if you're fighting another team near the capacitor and one of your teammates goes and tries to charge up their ultimate, their Gibraltar, for example, you're going to be charging other enemies' ultimates if they're in the same sort of position as you are, and if they're fighting on the same capacitor, which is pretty cool. Like, it depends what you are doing and who you are. For example, if you're a Gibraltar and you're charging your ultimate, depending on your situation, that bombardment, that defensive bombardment, might be an advantage or a disadvantage depending on who else has charged their ultimate on the enemy's team, which is pretty cool. So it adds a whole new dynamic to it, which is pretty good. So it's still early. We'll see how the sort of plays happen again in ranked or in higher levels of Apex, competitively speaking. We'll see how it affects gameplay and see what happens with the capacitors, which is pretty cool. Now I'm going to move on to the character changes, and of course we've got to start off with the new character, which is Lobo. Now I've really enjoyed playing Lobo, and I've seen quite a few people playing it as well, but the first thing I have to say is she seems pretty balanced at the moment. Of course, her ability to seemingly teleport is pretty OP when you think about it, when you hear it first, but to be honest with you, it's balanced, because there are different caveats, there are different trade-offs that you do whilst using your ability. For example, there is a sort of animation that you need to get to, so it's not just instant teleportation, like your Nightcrawler, or I can't think of anyone else that teleports. Let's say Nightcrawler, that's a basic one. X-Men fans, shout out to X-Men fans. You can't just teleport straight away and start shooting someone. There's a little animation that you need to do, take off a bracelet, and reset yourself as well. And I kind of find it disorientating a little bit when you teleport and you're in the wrong sort of orientation. But its balance is pretty good at the moment. So that's her tactical, which is, I think it's pretty good. It's a good tactical to have. Of course, if you're Lobo, you're gonna make it come in handy and it's gonna be useful. But that's another thing, like once you're doing your actual tactical ability, like you actually need to pay attention and find out where you're going and try and preemptively think where your enemy's going if you're trying to chase them down. But that's the thing, it just adds a whole different level. And I've got a Lobo video coming up of how to kill Lobo, for example, or how to be Lobo, for example, which is coming pretty soon, so please stay tuned, which is pretty cool. So we're gonna get into it with our other characters and our other characters so far, and again, Lobo's balance. So we have big changes, especially for Mirage, as you can see right now, and his abilities are crazy. I think he's probably going to be pushed up to one of the strongest legends of season 5, and that's just because he seems like he's got a lot more of a supportive role. He can basically, he's team based now. Like you can see yourself using it as a team. And a lot of things that annoyed me in the past, like for example, don't mind this current footage of me falling over. Another little point is that with the map, there are new crevices that you can't jump. There are new black spots on a map that you just fall out of. That was one of them. But again, with Mirage, it seems like his abilities have stepped up quite a bit. Like he's got quite a lot of love. Things that people have been asking for, things that we've seen in events like Dummies Day Out, for example, they've been implemented in here, and it shows that the development team have been listening to us, essentially, listening to the players and adding things, which is what you could only ask for, essentially. So his tactical can be controlled. So once you throw out your decoy, you can actually control it and let it mimic your actions, essentially. And it just adds that whole level of hesitation, which is pretty good. That whole hesitation is the difference between whether you die or whether you kill that opponent, essentially, which is one of the things that Mirage excels in, as you can imagine. Letting your enemy empty out a whole clip before you start emptying out the whole clip. Once they've missed like half of their clip, you could just take them out, essentially, with Mirage right now. Another cool thing that he's got as well is that you can cloak yourself if you're reviving your teammate, and that's not just yourself but your teammate as well, which is pretty good. So it adds this sort of just backup, basically. It just helps your team out a lot more. I feel like before, in the past seasons, Mirage was quite a selfish sort of character. Like even his ultimate, it was quite selfish. Oh, you go invisible and you run away, essentially, or you run towards. But now he's got abilities that actually help out your teammates a lot more, which is, it's a lot nicer, and it works a lot more. It works a lot better in a sort of synergistic sense. You've got a lot more synergy, a lot more teammanship, which is a lot better than what he had before. So that is Mirage's sort of upgrade in his tactical and his passives, which is pretty cool. And you've also got this whole new ability from Dummies Day Out, which is basically you cloak for like a couple seconds and then you uncloak, and all of the other Mirages, all your other decoys, they copy what you did, which is pretty cool. And again, it's a change that was needed. I think that his ultimate was pretty low, and it was quite underpowered compared to other ultimates, and I think that it matches his character pretty well, which is pretty cool. We've got other buffs, which is pretty good as well. Caustic, his gas no longer hurts his own teammates, which I feel like was something that was needed a long time ago, but we finally got it, which is pretty good. So again, yeah, you can make those fights, especially in the high levels of Apex. Caustic was strong before, now it makes it a lot easier to play with, teammates wise. I used to play with my brother, I still do play with my brother, and as a Caustic, his gas slowed me down and I couldn't see anything, and it was really annoying. But now you can make those plays. You can throw down your ultimate ability as caustic, and rest assured that your teammates can be able to move without being lasered if someone has a digital threat, for example, which is pretty cool. Now we have Pathfinder, and he has received a massive nerf. I feel like he did need to get some sort of nerf. The nerf that he received was quite big, and I wasn't expecting to be that big, but it's pretty big. His grapple's been taken away from him, essentially. Well, it's not been taken away from him, but it's been given a longer cooler period time. So basically, his tactical cooldown was 15 seconds. Now it's been increased to 35 seconds, which is massive. Like, it's pretty, you do sense it, you do feel it, and you will notice it more than you'd hope to. It kind of does bring people in line with the other characters, essentially. It brings Pathfinder in line with the other characters in terms of their abilities. He can't spam it as much, which is pretty good, and it adds for more game legibility. You're able to find out what's going on a lot easier without saying, oh, the Pathfinder's over there, now he's over there, now he's over there, jumping around like he's some sort of Superman or something, which is a lot easier and a lot nicer. So it's still early days. We'll see how players cope who main Pathfinder, and we'll see how it fares, essentially, which is pretty cool. Small one for Octane as well, which is buff. His ultimate has been decreased in terms of time, so he'll get his ultimate a lot more regularly, which I feel like was needed. I mean, like, his ultimate is literally to get a trampoline out, so I feel like he should be able to get his trampoline out a little bit more, a tad bit more, and now they've done that, so you should see a lot more Octane plays. Small other things, gun changes, so we no longer have the Peacekeeper on the map. Unfortunately, as you can see in this footage over here, we have the Mastiff. It's a weird gun to play with. I feel like once they did their changes to make sure that it comes more in line with other shotguns on the map, they decreased the damage, of course, as it was needed. That recoil is crazy though, but once you get used to it, you get used to it. Other changes as well, the Havoc, unfortunately, fortunately, I think it was needed. We all saw it coming. Literally everyone saw it coming. The Havoc's recoil pattern was increased, so it's going to be a lot harder to laser down people once you get that spin up time on the gun. Something that we saw coming, and something that I think is welcomed by most people. We also have a small buff on the RE45. A little minor damage increase, so you'll see a lot more people using that maybe early game and downing you a lot more quickly with the RE45. It's a little minor buff, but a buff nonetheless. Hop up changes as well. There is no more Anvil Receiver, at least in this map, as far as we know. It's been taken out, so RIP to the Anvil Receiver, but we've got the Skull Piercer in its place. So once you get those long headshots, especially with the Wingman or the Longbow, for example, you're going to be feeling that damage hit your opponent a lot more if you hit those headshots. Again, rewarding players for their headshots, which is pretty cool. That pretty much ends everything. Again, I'm really enjoying Season 5. I don't know, it seems like I'm always asking myself, what are they going to bring to next season? What could they possibly change? Apart from the new characters, of course, it seems like it's really, really good. All the changes are really, really good, all welcome. Things seem balanced. Of course, Lobo's abilities are quite nice. I call them convenience, kind of in line with the convenience store aspects with the Black Market Boutique, but they're a lot more convenient. And yeah, I'm really, really liking Season 5. Please do like, share, subscribe for more footage. I've got some more Lobo things coming just for you guys, so please stay tuned. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.